Hello there, master. My master. Wow, wow. We take a week off and I can't even. Uh-oh. What happened? Oh, yeah. So, okay. Let's try this again. Welcome there, intentional streaming fans, for the finals edition. I think we might have a little problem here, Jarvis. I'm not hearing you, buddy.
Oh, you're not?
I'm not. Let's see. Speak up.
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just don't really hear you through my headset.
Uh-oh.
That's a good question. I can keep talking again.
Yes.
No. I'm not hearing you at all.
Nope.
Nope.
I'm not seeing any of
Do you have the right headset? Is it plugged in?
Yep.
You want to just grab that other well, I just saw you. Turn up your volume. Boy. Uh-oh. Sorry folks for the technical difficulties.
This one might be. Hang on.
I think you got the wrong one.
Well, no, it's mine.
Yeah, you got the wrong one. Yeah.
Okay, how's that? Hey, there we go.
See, you got the wrong one.
I must have accidentally got the wrong one. I
Yeah.
thought I chased that cord all the way back to its home properly, but
Hey, see. Oh, whoops. Oh, we don't even have our. Hold on. There we go. We didn't even have our. There. Now we should have our screen too. Wow. It just all falls apart. 1 week away and everything just goes to hell in a handbasket.
okay. Stefan just said we have no video, but
I know we got video now.
okay, I just texted him back. We'll see.
Okay.
Wow, rough start here, guys. Rough start here.
Ooh, yeah. Too much eggnog over Christmas. Too many cocktails on New Year's Eve, maybe.
Okay. Yep, we're good.
Okay. Well, do you have your cocktail in your hand now?
I do.
I do as well. So,
What was?
oh,
What was that?
the glass rubbed on my microphone.
Oh, I
there.
thought.
No, it wasn't anything else.
Holy hand grenades! Is this show gonna start or what?
Okay, so now that we've wasted 5 minutes of your life that you're never ever gonna get back, and we're sober at this point.
And this is not our first show. I promise.
Oh, believe it or not, it will probably be our last.
It could be.
So, anyway, welcome everybody to Intentional Streaming, where two fools keep making fools of themselves. My co-host, Jarvis.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
And Flip, the master of disaster. But I found my headset.
Yeah, that's a first. I can't believe I did that.
That's pretty funny. So, all right, let's now that we've kind of embarrassed ourselves, let's get into the show a little bit here. We're gonna skip a lot of our usual stuff, and we're gonna get into the what I would consider the fun stuff. My co-host might not.
Yeah, if we could skip the whole results
Ooh,
section.
We can't skip the results here, can we, folks?
Oh boy.
Ooh, of course we can't.
No, we certainly can't.
Okay, I would like to tease Jarvis a little bit that he didn't want to do last week's show because he was still a little hurt over the close game.
Oh, that is not true. I was sick.
Okay.
I was congested and yeah, it was bad.
Okay. I won't tease you anymore. This was an amazing, crazy championship between Jarvis and I. It really was. We start out with both of our teams are just, banged up. They're hurt. We don't know if they're going to play. What's going to happen? And we start getting into the games, and I'm getting my lead that I'm wanting, but then you come back, and going into the Monday night, and you had your Denver players going.
I was feeling pretty good, but I was still extremely nervous. I wasn't like overly optimistic because I needed to get 28 or something like that, 27 points out of Deshaun Hamilton and Philip Lindsay. And I knew it could happen, but it was still going to be a bit of a stretch. Now, when Deshaun Hamilton caught that touchdown,
I thought it was done.
Well, I only had like 6 more points left, and I had an entire quarter and a half left to go. Philip Lindsay goes down. And
bad wrist injury.
Bad wrist injury. You know, it's they're saying 6-month recovery window for something like that. So he should be fine for the start of next year, but it was something that obviously kept him out for the rest of the game. And with his involvement in that offense, that really hurt. And when the Raiders got the ball back at the end, all we had to do was stop them. Stop them, and we get the ball back.
2 minutes left.
With 2 minutes left, and there's a chance I need 4 points. Actually, I need 6 or 7 points to pass you. And all that, I mean, that would have been 2 receptions from
Easily.
Hamilton. And they would have been in the hurry-up offense, the gun,
Oakland's playing prevent the entire time.
Yeah, so I really liked my chances, but as soon as Martin ran for that touchdown or whatever.
A little muscle hamster. Yeah, he got that first down.
I feel bad, and I still have yet to apologize to that hat that I was wearing. It got abused. It got thrown on the floor and then across the room, almost knocking off a picture on the wall. But just so you know, 2 weeks later, the sting hasn't gone away. That still hurts. But yeah, I mean, you jumped out to a great lead with your Tennessee Titans defense, scoring you 19 points. And then again, it wasn't looking so good for you right away. But in the last minute, you got 10 points?
I got in the last minute, 27 or so, I got 11 points. I had 8 points because they had the pick 6 at the end, but then they had a interception with a minute 27 left. I mean, that was just crazy watching the end of that.
Yeah.
And because there was no time on the clock when he ran that in, and he was crazy running all over the field. And, I was like, oh, don't go down. And I got lucky, and that was really, I had a lot of lucky plays. Telvin Smith had a pick 6 in that game. I had some bad luck, Kelsey having, arguably, was that his worst performance of the year? Besides week 1, yeah. And
he still had 9 targets. It just didn't happen for him.
Yeah. Phillip Rivers, that's got to be his worst game of the year.
Oh, that's not even close.
Yeah. He had a touchdown in every single game this year except for that one.
Yeah, and multiple touchdowns in every game except for one other one.
Yeah.
So he's definitely one of those, high floor guys, and he fell way below that. He was buried in the basement, for what he's normally used to putting up.
Now I got a question for you. You changed kickers kind of at the end of the season.
I did, and the reason is because if we go back, and I don't want to do it here, but from that point on, going back, the last time, because I just wasn't getting any production out of any of my kickers. And so I went all the way back, week 14 or week 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. The last time I had double digits out of a kicker was in week 10, and he got me 10 points.
Ouch.
So I'm in this panic mode, which really is frustrating because I started the year with Greg Zerloin, who's a beast, but he got hurt, and I didn't want to burn a roster spot by carrying 2 kickers for the 4 or 5 weeks that Zerloin was out. So Dan Bailey got signed to the Vikings. I was like, okay, great, high-powered offense. Bailey's one of the most accurate kickers in NFL history. Let's pick him up. So I did, and he didn't do anything for me.
No, he
ever.
didn't.
And so I'm just trying to find a good option. Badgley's a young guy on the Chargers who's been scoring a lot of points, had some favorable matchups. I was like, okay, well, he's in line to get me at least maybe 2 field goals or something like that, a couple extra points. I should be able to break that double-digit mark. And again, 5 points.
I don't know if you saw what I was looking at there, but Mike has Zerline.
Yeah.
But you still would have came up just a little short.
But what I'm saying is if you look at Zerloin's point total for the year, like he's usually 12 to 16 points a game.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was his worst. Well, besides winning, he must have he got hurt week 2.
Yeah. So
even if you would have burned a roster spot on Zerloin, you still would have just came up barely short.
Yeah, and then plus, I mean, who knows what would have happened, like with my win totals. You know, there's a couple of close games that I had. You know, so if I would have kept Zerloin and then burned a roster spot for someone that I ended up playing.
True.
You know, and who knows if I would have even been in the championship game.
Very true.
So there's just a lot of things that, you know, could have gone right, could have gone wrong. But it's just one of those, that's why we play fantasy football.
Exactly.
Was I disappointed? Well, sure I was. I mean, everybody wants to win. But the unpredictability from week to week is why we keep coming back and why we want to play and why we want to try to get better and better and better.
And we've all been in that spot where we've taken those tough losses. You know, I know this sucks 2 years in a row, close games with me. And
you have no idea.
You know, and I don't want to go, ha, ha, ha. Well, I do, but I won't. Well, ha, maybe just a little bit. You know, but, you know, Jarvis had the best team all year. Well, record-wise, you know, he was dominant team, and I got to give him a lot of props. You know, and I got to give Mike and Will props, you know, as well. Mike had the best team down the stretch, bar none.
Absolutely.
You know, bar none.
Well, and if you look at what Mike did, starting out the gates, like we were all kind of left scratching our head after, like, you know, week 4, 5, 6. Like, what's going on with Mike? He can't win a game. He's scoring in the 130s, 140s. Like, what's happening there?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I kept saying, I was like, Mike's the one that scares me because when his team catches on and gets hot, he can do it. Yeah. So in weeks 2, 124, weeks 3, 132, 133.
Low point for the week.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, what's happening? This guy's got a good team. And then all of a sudden, bam, you can see where he started to catch fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got a good team. And hats off to him for sticking with it because there's a lot of people, you know, not necessarily maybe in this league because I think most of us are all real extremely competitive. But you put it in a different league or anybody else with that type of start, it's very tempting to just kind of throw in the towel. And be like, yeah, well,
and then you know, there's next year, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what makes the double headers in this league awesome, I think, because you can pick up a ton of wins very quick, and that's what happened with Mike.
Yep.
Mike won 10 in a row, which is only, you know, in another league that's only 5 weeks.
Yep.
You know, here. That's huge. It's huge when other teams are taking 2 losses or even just going 1-1. Oh, yeah, definitely. My hat's off to Mike. You know, great season. You know, Mike ended up finishing 4th, but you know, Will had the most points the entire year. You know, gotta give Will credit.
Yeah,
you know,
and he's another guy that stuck right through it. I mean, if you look at his roster and his championship lineup that he his not championship lineup, but going for 3rd place, look at his running back situation. He ended up starting Jalen Richard and Spencer Ware. At the beginning of the year, he was starting Devonta Freeman and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
And he just, you know, through injuries throughout the year, through that suspension from Kareem Hunt, and he's kind of had a tight end carousel going on there too. So, again, another guy who's stuck with it and has made the most out of what, you know, is kind of a bleak situation with those injuries and unforeseen suspension, especially coming from Kareem Hunt, a guy you depended on as your number 1.
Exactly. And who knows where, you know, what Hunt's situation is going to be next year. How many games does that guy actually miss?
I think he's probably going to miss. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses. He's going to get another shot. I think he's going to get another shot in the NFL with another team. But any of the suspensions that are going to be carried down from the NFL is going to start next year. And then I would say a minimum of 6 games.
Agreed. I wouldn't be surprised to see 10.
Me too. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a whole year suspension.
You know, he kicked the woman.
Yeah.
You know,
but the thing is like, I don't know. So this is a whole different discussion, like how people are are treated in these type of situations. Because if you look at, okay, all right, so he's in the league, right? And he's a big name. This comes out, video shows from an incident in February. So a couple months down the road, this comes out. Very disturbing. I mean, now...
It's not Ray Rice disturbing.
That's the thing, right? But what was Ray Rice disturbing was Joe Mixon's knockout punch to that girl.
But Joe Mixon, we're talking, almost 5 years ago when Mixon was in college.
Exactly. But that video didn't really surface until before the draft.
Well, it did though.
I didn't see it. Now it could have. I didn't see it until a couple months before, like the combine started and stuff like that. So,
see, when that happened, that was like 2014. So
right.
Mixon actually set out 2015 at Oklahoma. Now,
yes,
I did a lot of research on Mixon, especially after
you got him.
Well, because I was really angling for Fournette, but I still wanted to do my homework on Mixon, and that was a brutal punch by Mixon, absolutely. But with Hunt, boy,
it wasn't nearly that brutal.
No, but you still can't do that.
You can't do that. You can't do it. You can't put yourself in that situation. You can't allow yourself to make poor decisions like that, because when you're an NFL player or any professional athlete that's famous, has all that money, you got to think about the fact that you're constantly being recorded and watched.
Yep.
There's cameras everywhere nowadays. So I'm not saying like, oh, because it wasn't very hard, like he should get let off. What I'm saying is I honestly I can see any range of outcomes between him serving the first 6 games of a suspension next year to having to serve the whole year, and then coming in the next year. And
that's the thing is, how is the NFL going to look? Because it was Kansas City that cut him. He's not suspended. Well, he actually is on the commissioner's exempt list right now
during the investigation.
So he's actually serving a suspension now. So I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if you look at it, technically he's sitting a suspension right now. Even though he's not on a team. And
I know we're kind of getting off on a tangent.
We are totally off on a tangent. Huge surprise here. I mean, we've already blown up the show, so screw it.
But if you're Tyreek Hill, his teammate on the same team, are you nervous?
No,
because I guess that's all been kind of has come and gone. Like everybody knows about it, and it's old hat, I guess. But when you do something that's arguably worse than what Kareem Hunt did to a woman.
Now you're gonna have to refresh me on the Tyreek Hill thing.
Yeah, didn't he drag his girlfriend down the stairs by her hair?
Now was that also in college?
Yes.
Okay. See what they're doing now. Like they didn't suspend Mixon.
No,
because this stuff is happening in college. And that's So I guess that would open up a can of worms. If you do something bad in college and you get suspended in college. Should you, when you get to the pros, should you have to pay the price twice?
Well, again, we're kind of off on a tangent, so we should probably wrap this up. But my thing is that playing in the NFL is not a right; it's a privilege. So I think that if you do something like that in the NFL, you should have to pay those consequences if and when you get to the NFL and they let you in. So having a suspension, right off the gate, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. All I'm saying is that these guys just got to clean their acts up.
How about if we talk about this next week on the show, since we're going to go to a different format next week?
I think that's a great idea.
All right. Oh, and look, there's Tyreek Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what with Mike and Will here, what really hurt Mike was. He was consistent across the board, but he didn't have anybody jump out. Will had a whole, a number of guys really not produce, but he had Antonio Brown, totally go off.
Yeah.
That was the game he actually showed up.
That was crazy.
AB was insane that game. And, earlier that day, I actually thought I had a semi-legitimate chance of catching Will for the 300 for the 3 years, and Antonio Brown absolutely
Wrecked it.
Destroyed it. Yep. He laid that to bed. And while he was laying it to bed, of course, it was all coming from Big Ben. So, but that was a fantastic matchup, between those two. Not as close, but, you get 40 plus out of AB, and you're going to pull away quick from anybody. So, great, great finals. You and I had that hell of a close game. The other two great teams in the league this year duked it out for third and fourth. I can't complain. I get to keep the trophy for one more year at least. Don't have to wear the dress.
No, you don't. Who does though?
Yep, that's Luke. Luke's so good with it.
Yeah, he's being a real good, sport about it all. I know that he secretly was hoping that I would win because I feel like I would be a little bit more conservative with the dress choice.
Would you have been?
I think so. I want something to, real glamorous, real nice, formal, something to accentuate his features.
His features.
Oh, what am I talking about? I don't know if I would have been.
You don't know if you would have been as nice to him as you were to me?
Well, I don't know. It's tough to find, dresses for adult males in blue and orange.
Well, it's tough to find dresses for adult males that are of the larger variety.
Well, this is 2019.
Yeah.
There's probably more of them being made.
I did some dress looking for Luke. One thing I suggested for Luke is send me some suggestions. I want to see your suggestions, Luke. So I can get a hint of maybe what he's looking at, and I don't know. Will I be mean? Will I be nice? I don't know.
So, just real quickly for anyone out there that is listening that may not be familiar with what we're talking about, the winner of the championship this year, which so happens to be Flip, unfortunately, gets to pick out the dress for the loser, the lowest ranked player, to wear during our NFL draft this year. And that just so happens to be Flip will be picking out a dress for Luke.
And Luke has to purchase it with his own money with a $40 cap on it.
Correct. And you can choose and Flip's on completely in control of the colors, what kind he wants.
The style.
Yep. And he's just got to fit it within that $40 price range. And now Flip, being on the opposite end of it this year, is it a lot easier for you to go dress shopping than having to worry about what is being shopped for you?
It got to the point last year where I just totally laid down and said, okay, I'm going to have to wear it. I know. Now I'm just going to have to do some begging and pleading for Jarvis to be nice. And Jarvis was absolutely nice with it. Really was. It was a big and orange blue moo-moo, and made me, I don't know, made me look fatter than I am. No, I just made that dress look fuller. So, we'll see. Got until July to find something. So I really want Luke to send me some pictures for that matter. You guys that are on the group chat, send your suggestions in. Put your suggestions there of what you would like to see or maybe not like to see Luke in, dress wise. So, okay. So let's quit divulging on, or quit divulging, getting off track, whatever.
There we go.
Okay. So anyway, Gary had a good week this week, or last week. And so he ended up at the high point, 192.75. Luke, bottom guy, 127.16. You got the season totals there, Jarvis?
Yeah. Let me just dig this up here fast. So the season total for like high?
Yeah.
Yeah. So finished out the year with we had a high point of 249.21, which is in week 8 by yours truly, myself.
Cha-ching!
249. That's crazy. I was shocked to see my team put that up, and I was once I did put that up, I was kind of confident that should stand, and it ended up standing. So 249.21. That's I was pretty satisfied with that. Low point, Luke. Luke, the dress wearer Luke, man. Week 11, 102.94. So
we need to think of a nickname for Luke with the whole dress thing instead of, dress wearing Luke. Just I don't know. Daisy Dukes Luke.
Did we fight? But we didn't come up with a nickname for you.
Fat guy in an orange and blue dress guy.
I'm sure something might surface just naturally on its own.
It might ooze out, huh? All right, so we got Jarvis there with winning the $100 for the high point for the year. Oh boy, let's look at this. Now, if you look over here and look at the season finals there, I had like about a 1.5 lead on Will heading into the year, and Will ended up beating me by 46.85 for the 3-year total. Unbelievable. That's less than 3 points a week for the 48 games that we played.
That's crazy.
48 weeks. And I was excited when I knew he was going to take a 0 out of Spencer Ware. I'm like, boy, I got a shot. Nope. He's just got too good of a team. And he outscored me that last week. So, that's a big $300. Congratulations, Will.
Yes, yeah, congratulations. That's the marathon.
Yes.
That's not the sprint. So well done.
And that starts all over starting week 1 of 2019.
Yep, everybody is tied at 0-0-0-0.
Yes. So we'll get into the prize pool here. We got myself at the 600. Jarvis 375, Will 215, Mike 175, Stefan 100, and Kroll 75. There's the Jarvis with the 100, Will with the 300, and there's some of the guys with the payouts and so forth. The other thing that I want to go over is here's the draft order for next year. How disappointed are you, Jarvis, that
points? Yeah, point like what? 0.9.
So
or 1.1.
Yeah, what 1.07.
Yeah.
So Jarvis has Shannon's first round pick, and he missed the overall by,
just over a point.
Just over a point.
Yeah, that would have been awesome to come from the championship game and then have the number 1 overall pick. That would have been really, really sweet. But, I'll take the 2.
Can't complain one bit.
I'll take the 2.
Yep. Gary with that big third week there of that 192 propels him into third.
Yep, that was huge, Gary.
He was not that far away from landing into that first spot himself. There's Luke there, a decent showing, even though that last week was bad. JJ had that bad second week to roll in there with the 5th. I was rooting for JJ because I have his 3rd rounder. He kind of let me down. Darky, boy, oh boy. First year, get that 6th overall for next year.
He was kind of plagued with injuries, though, and he does, especially with AJ Green being out, and then Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Really, really some bad luck there with 2 of his star players.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kroll, Stefan, Mike, Will, Jarvis, and myself. Oh boy, it's going to be fun to see what gets traded in the offseason. We've already had a flurry. I don't know if we want to go over that or not.
Yeah, we can go over that for, real quick.
Okay. So we've got a flurry of trades so far that have happened that have been, some of them have been just pretty doggone awesome.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Like, I feel like people are getting value on both ends of these trades, whereas initially some of them, are like, whoa, what are you doing getting rid of that person for that? But actually, there's been some good trades going on.
There has been. I'm a big Robbie Anderson fan. I really am. The guy's only 25 years old. He used to be just, McCown throwing to him, but that wasn't the case. Robbie Anderson, he had a big game against you this past week or the week before.
Yeah, he sure did.
I hate to bring that up, sort of. But, he was coming on the last 3 weeks, 3 touchdowns.
And I think a lot of that has to do with, like, just Sam Darnold's play, too, getting more comfortable and playing better. Robbie Anderson's like, what, 24, 25 years old?
25.
He's a field stretcher, so yeah, he's 25. He's a field stretcher. So he's got those. He's kind of been tagged so far, I feel, through the early part of his career as kind of a boomer bust guy. Just because he is a field stretcher, he has that capability. But what we've seen over the last handful of weeks is him getting involved in those shorter passes. He's getting more targets. Look at that. The last 2 weeks, 11 targets, 13 targets. And those
20 catches in 3 weeks. That's just not a one-trick pony.
And if you look at the just the mathematics of everything, he's around 10 to 15 yards per catch. So it's not like he's going like deep like he did against my Broncos in week 5. 3 for 123. He's getting more involved in the offense as a solidified number 1 wide receiver for this team. So I think you get good value out of that, like cashing in and grabbing yourself a 3rd-round pick on a guy that you're going to have to get rid of because you weren't going to keep him.
And that's a solid upgrade for Darkey.
It sure is. So I think this
really
is a
weak receiving core.
Exactly. So I think this is a good move for both guys.
Agreed. JJ and Will. Okay, I'm not a huge Zay Jones fan, but who has he had throwing to him too?
Josh Allen's stepping up. He's playing well. He has targeted Zay Jones a lot towards the end of the year. He's come into his own, giving up a 5th-round pick for Zay Jones. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to get in the 5th round anyway? Maybe you can get a gem, but, odds are probably not. I think that is good value.
I really do.
For a guy that I think he's only, 23. He'll be 24 next year. That's a young kid still.
Well, and then as soon as Benjamin was gone, look at his targets. Other than that 1 week that I don't know if he was hurt, versus the Jags, but he went with 11 targets, 9, 9, 6, 9. So he's heavily targeted in this offense that, for the most part, has been playing behind. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a pass-heavy game script for most of for at least the second half of this year. And he's heavily involved, and you're only giving up a 5th-round pick to get a 23-year-old primary target out of an offense that's going to be playing from behind for. I love it.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
who was that between there? So that was between JJ and Will.
Mm-hmm.
And so JJ got him for a 5th round, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, kudos, JJ. I really like that trade.
Agreed. Luke getting Will Fuller from Will.
This is another one I just love. I think Luke knocked this one out of the park.
I do too. Will Fuller's the type of a guy that, when healthy, that's the big key. When healthy, he put up some really good games. 8, 5, 4, 2, 2, 6, 5. On receptions. Those are wide receiver 2 numbers there.
Yeah.
That you're throwing up there. Yeah, you had a couple of bad games, but that's going to happen. But 5 for 124 and a touchdown, that's solid.
And what's crazy when you think about this is when you look at like DeAndre Hopkins, obviously the wide receiver 1 there in Houston. when you look at his play, when it's Will Fuller and him on the field at the same time, there's really no difference between Hopkins' production with Fuller and without Fuller. But do you know who benefits the most is with Will Fuller on the field is Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
Actually plays really, really well with him because he's got two great passing options. And when Will Fuller is in there, those two, Hopkins and Fuller on the outsides, are just target monsters. Mm-hmm. So getting him for a fourth, I love this one. I sent Luke a text right away. I was like, great job on that pick.
Absolutely. The next one is Gary getting Demaryius Thomas for a third.
I'm okay with that. If he comes back.
Well, Demaryius Thomas has to be pushing, 30, 31?
He's 30.
Oh, actually, he'll be 32 next year.
That's Emmanuel Sanders you're on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, no, he did give up. Yeah,
he gave up Emmanuel Sanders.
Wait, why did you say Demaryius?
I have no clue because I'm a moron. Because look how he started out the show. I mean, why just be a moron just for the first 5 minutes when I can do it the whole damn show?
Yeah. But no, Emmanuel Sanders, third rounder. You know, Emmanuel Sanders he's a hyper competitive guy. He's already come out. He said, okay, yeah, Achilles tendon injury. That's a 6-month recovery window. That puts me from now until June, when OTAs and everything like that, and spring training and all that stuff starts. He goes, I'm going to be ready by week 1. I'm already ahead of schedule. I guarantee I'm going to be ready. In my opinion, the question is whether or not he's going to be healthy or not, because I really believe he is, and I think he's going to be just fine starting next year.
But he wasn't healthy last year. My
question is where is he going to be playing?
Is he a free agent this year?
He is either, I'm not good with these contract things, and you know that.
I can look this up really fast.
If they cut him or release him, I think they end up saving a little bit of money, and I can't remember how much it is.
He's not in Houston. He's in Denver, isn't he?
Yes, you're thinking of Demaryius Thomas again.
Back to the whole moron thing. There's Emmanuel Sanders. Okay, so, yeah, he's got one more year. $2.5 million. This is his guaranteed money for next year. Could they eat that and keep him? It's pretty expensive, $13 million for a 32-year-old guy coming off an Achilles.
Yeah, and I think, if I remember reading it correctly, I think they're probably going to be coming out ahead if they do end up parting ways with him. Which, I mean, I could see business-wise. I'm totally fine either way being a Broncos fan, but Emmanuel Sanders, I love the dude. I love his competitive fire. I love his ability to get down the field, especially running those routes as a slot receiver and have the ability to do both slot and outside. But I think it just makes sense that he won't be there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would agree with you there. That's going to be really tough for Denver to sit there, especially, he got hurt fairly late in the year. What week did he get hurt? Week 14. So that would have been the last part of November, early part of December. Yeah. I don't have a huge problem with it. I don't know if I would have given up a third.
Well, I mean, if we're going through the draft and we throw everybody back in the draft pool, if he was still there in the third, would you take him?
I'd rather take Will Fuller.
I mean, I would too.
Yeah,
but
yeah, most likely. Yeah,
I think it's pretty fair.
Agreed. Mike getting Tariq Cohen. JJ. I see the $2 chuck. My bad. JJ getting Tariq Cohen for a third. I love it. Love it, JJ. I'm really glad you're in the bottom division there, JJ. That makes me so happy because you're doing very well for yourself there.
I like it too.
Now,
I was shocked to see Kroll get rid of him. To be honest, I thought he was going to be his keeper.
No, I guess he decided to go another route. I mean, I guess we could look real quick on. We could just drag this show out for eons, and so it looks like he's going to keep.
You're on the wrong guy.
I'm on the wrong guy.
Yep. There you go. I'm thinking he's probably going to keep what, Burkhead?
Ugh. Guess that doesn't even really matter what he's got on his taxi, does it?
No.
Well, yeah, Kamara and I guess that's a little bit of a head scratcher there. I'm okay with it. You know, Kroll's in my division. I'm okay if he wants to make that deal, or maybe he doesn't believe in Cohen. You know, thinks it's a 1-year wonder or 2-year wonder thing.
Or maybe he's got something else up his sleeve.
Maybe so.
Going to get a big name running back. I don't know.
Which wouldn't surprise me. JJ knocking it out of the park here, getting Matt Ryan, probably the best quarterback that's going to be taken in the free agency off of other teams this year. And for, you know, basically a mid-first rounder and didn't give up anything else. Does that set the quarterback market there?
I think it has to.
Does that tell you that like those higher up teams, if they're going to be trading, you know, if they're going to be trading for a quarterback, are they going to have to maybe throw in something else, or the team that they're trading with, are they going to have to throw in maybe like their first round pick and maybe like a 4th or 5th rounder possibly?
I think this, yeah. I mean, I think that this absolutely shows the value of the quarterback position in this league. Mm-hmm. You know, when you have 12 teams out there and some of them have 3, maybe 4 quarterbacks on their team, and you can start 2 per week.
But the thing is, I started 2 quarterbacks only a few weeks this year.
And I would like to believe that is like kind of a one-off situation with the team that you had.
Do you think it was kind of a fluky deal?
Well, I mean, let me ask you this: Would you have felt more confident going into the playoffs, being able to start 2 quarterbacks or 1?
You know, I got to the point. Let's look at this. I got to the point
because if you don't have 2 quarterbacks, you have to have a very solid flex that you can lean on.
I got to the point around week 12, even before then. You know, I got to the point around week 8, 9, 10 where I felt really comfortable with my team. Mm-hmm. You know, I was putting up some very high scores, you know, the last 6, 7 weeks of the season. You know, I pulled down some high points. That week 14, that's in the playoffs, but week 13, you know, that was the week before, you know, 190 the week before. I felt comfortable with my depth that I had. Unfortunately, I really needed all that depth when I lost Connor. And then in the playoffs, when my wide receivers were all banged up and, you know, and I couldn't even start Sammy Watkins because he was banged up. And I did reach out and grab a quarterback, and luckily I didn't start him. Would I have felt better? That's a tough call. If I would have had a top-tier quarterback like Matt Ryan for my second, absolutely I would have been starting him. But if I was sitting on somebody, you know, like Bortles or Rosen or Darnold.
Oh, sure.
You know, would I have felt comfortable going with one of those guys? No.
But just in like generalities.
It just depends on the quarterback. It would have to be a top 10 quarterback or maybe top 15 to get me to set, you know, Robbie Anderson there at the end, or McCoy was a bust there at the end. But, I think you can score some really good points with some linebackers. I think you can score some really good points with defenses.
Mm-hmm.
My Browns defense was scoring double digits every week. They weren't slouches, but they weren't going to get me 30 points either, like a quarterback could.
Right.
It's the low floor, low ceiling part, as opposed to the, or I should say high floor, low ceiling part for some of those. But with quarterbacks, you're generally going to get, a high ceiling to go with them, that can whip out the 30 points.
Yeah.
If I go into the playoffs next year with one quarterback and I have depth, yeah, I'll be a little nervous, but if I'm scoring like I did towards the end of this year, I'll be perfectly happy with it.
Yeah, I just think that in a quarterback, in a league where you can start two quarterbacks, I just feel generally you can feel a little bit better about your quarterbacks scoring you, like, say, 20 points than a running back or a wide receiver, depending on who it is we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because if you have, like, a flex guy, he's typically that you're going to be substituting in for a quarterback. He's typically not your top 3 wide receivers or top 2 running back option. So you have to depend on some luck to come your way.
You got to have luck.
Yeah, and some big plays. So now, a lot of times, those flex options could yield a higher ceiling, if they have those big 60, 70-yard touchdown catches. But you're just hoping at that point. So I feel just in general, if you have the option to play 2 good quarterbacks, I think that most of the time, I think we would all lean that way. Could be wrong.
Yeah, but it. I guess it depends on who your second good quarterback is.
Yeah, and that's just what I'm saying. It's like, I know it all depends, but generally speaking.
Okay, so let's look at this for a quick. I know we're totally getting off on tangents tonight, but really, what the hell? Would Eli Manning, Prescott, would you have felt good going in with those guys? Those guys would have lost you the second round there. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, neither one of them scored 10 points. How far down are you talking for a second quarterback?
Oh, I'm talking about having, like, a good solid, like, top 10, and then maybe a top 15 for your second, top 20 for your second.
But, know who had Shannon's got 2 top 10. Kroll had 2 top 10. But nobody else had a second top 10 quarterback there. You were close. You had the 2 and 11. So I don't think it's going to be that easy to actually get that second top 10 quarterback.
Oh, it's not going to be easy at all.
No. So that's why I'm saying, if your second quarterback is, I was going to say Torrey, but that's his first one. Stefan's second there. Yeah, it looks like it. So would you have felt okay with Carr being your second?
Yeah.
See, that's where it gets a little tricky on, would you rather go with Carr or like Jalen Richard or Theo Riddick that's going to get you 10 points?
I'd rather go Carr.
Yeah, for the most part, I'd probably agree with you. But he would have cost you in the championship there, getting not even 7 points. So
anyway,
okay. So now we're done with the transactions. Okay, so we lost video last week, and that was my screw up. I'm still learning the video program that I have. That's really great. It's super ooper duper complicated. So I'm still learning, and I made just a little bit of an error, and it screwed up the whole show. So this is what I'm just going to mention this really quick. So this is the divisions that I was talking about. This does not include this past week. This is just regular season. So there it is, blah, blah, blah. So you guys can look at that. I won't go any further on that. Here's the playoff guys, in the second half. So, it shows how doggone close those were. And here's the fun thing. Here's the divisions. If they started, if we have one more year, then we'll redo divisions. But right now, here's how the divisions would actually be. So, kind of fun. Poor Kroll gets stuck in there with Will and Mike. I'm not going to feel sorry for Darky one bit.
Oh, come on.
No, can't feel sorry for the new guy. No way.
He's holding his own.
He was better than JJ and Luke. I'll give him that.
Ooh. Shots fired.
Hey, that's over 100 points more than Luke.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry, Luke. Kicking you again, buddy. I'm sorry. So there's some of the fun things that you guys didn't actually get to see on the show last week because of my total screw up. So, all right. How'd we do on time this week, Jarvis? Oh, geez, we're not even an hour.
Yeah, we're right there.
We can still talk for another 45 minutes, can't we?
Well, we could. Do we want to?
No.
Okay.
Do you think people would just quit listening?
Yes.
Anyway? Yes.
I'm sure they probably have by now already anyway.
Yeah. Well, after the first 5 minutes?
After the first 5 minutes, they were like, nope.
Well, we've had enough of these two morons. So, now, Jarvis and I have not talked about this today, but I'll ask him, are we starting our new format next week?
I mean, I think we easily could if we want to do it next week or wait until the playoffs are over. That's completely up to, everybody. What do you want us to do? I think that we probably should because there's really not a lot else to cover in this league that we've done. And since we're going to be transitioning into just a more generalized fantasy football podcast where we kind of bounce ideas and thoughts off of one another and relay them onto you, the listener, as far as and as well as field questions, from y'all. So I don't see any reason why we really need to stick with this format and just go into. We can cover some daily stuff for the playoffs if people want to hear about that. Want some advice there, but yeah. Let's do it. Okay, that sounds good to me. Sorry that I ambushed you right there and said put you on the spot. No, it's good. So, So next week we will do our very first intentional streaming podcast that just focuses on fantasy football instead of the Masters League. So I feel like I need some sad serenading music for me to put to bed this Masters League podcast we've been babying all year. This is like my little thing. It's like it's all grown up, and now we're setting it free, and we're letting it go on its own, and now we're moving on. I think it ran away in the first 5 minutes, Jarvis. Yeah. I think it said, no, we've had enough of you, Yeah. It kicked the door open and ran out screaming. But, so what we'll do next week is we promise we will have a better show next week. Promise. Won't guarantee you. Well, maybe I should guarantee you. Oh, boy, that's a tough call. We'll promise the effort will be there. Yeah, there you go. We'll put forth more effort and less giggling and screw-ups and whatever. So and all that. One last reminder: the
you won't be able to see the actual draft order until after the Super Bowl. The day or the week after the Super Bowl is when we'll be able to roll over the site. Then you'll be able to see so much, see the exact draft order when you go to trade draft picks. You'll also see it in the draft picks that have already occurred for the year. So keep those trades coming in. Looking forward to seeing more of them. Seeing who declares next. That will be exciting.
This is always the interesting part, because what hand do you play, Flip? Do you hold out and wait for others to declare and gather some picks, or do you purge and go after other players and get rid of your picks? Like, this one's tough. But it's a fun time, and it's really fun and interesting to see how everybody decides to play their hand.
Well, what I did last year, Jarvis, I declared fairly early, and not one of my draft picks I think I played after week 5.
Of your draft picks last year?
Of the guys because I traded all my draft picks for players in the offseason. And I don't think a single one of them started after week 5. I think after Sean Lee screwed me the last time, I think I called it good. So.
Yeah. Well, I remember moving up and feeling really good about it with my number 1 or my first rounder. Got the number 2 overall pick, and I grabbed Royce Freeman, and I played him, I think, once or twice.
How'd that treat you?
Fantastic.
Did that teach you not to be a homer?
No.
Okay.
No, look at what Philip Lindsay did for me.
Yeah.
I was the only guy that knew about him and was on him from the get-go.
I appreciate you having Philip Lindsay instead of a guy that scored 10 points. Okay. On that note of picking on Jarvis, I will probably have to buy him a drink, won't I, for being mean to him?
Yeah, and I'm going to save my rebuttal for after the show ends so I can use some choice words.
And punch me in the nose. Somebody can call 911 if you want. Eek! So, okay. So, be sure to like, subscribe, and
hit that bell,
especially with our new format next week. So, thanks everybody for tuning in. We look forward to catching y'all next week. And thanks for listening again. All right. Peace.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Talk to you later.